Well, let's stay with that now with these opposition parties. It's this two-day Moonshot Pact convention. So it's all about this alliance to, as I was saying, unseat the ANC in next year's elections. There's a number of parties involved in this. Let's head over to what's going to be a very interesting 48 hours. Pule Letshwiti-Jones, good morning. And all the way from that part of the country. And this, I imagine, when we get to elections, whenever that is next year, there's no date yet, unless I've been asleep, you and I are going to look back on this convention and go, this may have been the moment that swung the elections away from the ruling party.
Well, a very good morning, Gareth. Of course, is the multi-party national convention that will take place here at the very same venue where the CODESA negotiations, which would see the ending of apartheid, took place. So what we're seeing here basically is a pre-election agreement that will try or aim rather to unseat the ANC at the national general elections as well. But the road to this has been quite challenging as well. We've seen some few, controversial pronouncements that have been made and rumors as well within the political arena, where there's been a lot of speculation around the ANC and the DA possibly working together as well. But Action SA has called for transparency. Today, they want the DA to make it clear as to whether they're reaffirming their commitment to this multi-party national convention bloc or they're thinking otherwise. Joining me right now is Michael Bowman from Action SA to speak to me this morning. Michael, thank you very much for chatting to me. Let's chat about the national convention. How would you say, how viable is it towards the constituency of Action SA?
Well, certainly. I think what we are detecting from the South African people, whether it's our constituency or people who we aspire to become our constituency, is that South Africans overwhelmingly want this process to succeed. They see this process as a first step towards the project of fixing the greatest challenges in our country, like the economy, joblessness, load shedding, fighting crime, and they see this as a positive step in that direction. People know that the ANC will lose its majority in the next election. That much is clear to all South Africans. What has been missing till now is any coherence on the other side of the aisle between political parties that can put aside their differences and work together for the benefit of all South Africans. And I think that is the message we've received loud and clear.
You've been quite vocal in terms of saying the DA must be quite transparent. There's been a lot of speculation around the ANC and the DA possibly working together. Media reports as well revealing that before the mayor of Cape Town, for example, said, it would be silly for the DA not to consider working with the ANC. We've seen the ANC Youth League also coming out to say that it will be a tactical move for the DA to work with the ANC. All of this on the back of what the DA has been saying before, to say they will not work with the ANC. In fact, also publicly announcing that the EFF was enemy number one. What is Action SA saying about this when going into those talks?
Well, a few things. I think firstly, we are saying unequivocally to our partners today that we don't want an agreement framed on being anti-anything. We don't want a fear-mongering campaign in 2024. We think this group of parties must come together and offer a positive alternative vision for South Africa, grounded in solutions we share about how we address those greatest challenges in South Africa. That's what we want to see. But we also want to see an unequivocal answer when it comes to the ANC. We don't think it's good that we have political parties like the DA talking about possible coalition with the ANC while these talks are going on, because you can't run with the fox and hunt with the hounds. We must invest fully in this group of parties achieving a majority, and that can't happen if we have parties that have one leg in either idea.
Let's zoom out a bit. We've seen what's been happening in the municipalities with the multi-party agreements as well. We've seen before, you've come out the leadership with the then chairperson of Gauteng, Bongani Baloyi, saying that you are not quite happy with the agreement in Johannesburg. At some point you were saying that you will not be working with the DA in Johannesburg as well, when there was a bit of, confusion or a disagreement around the candidate you were trying to field at that time, who I believe was Funzi Ngobeni. Do you not think these kind of dynamics could be problematic, particularly when you look at the national perspective, which this multi-party national convention is trying to, work into in terms of getting the broader constituency?
There's no question, and I think coalitions are new in South Africa. I think they're new to political parties, they're new to members of the media, they're new to South African voters, and there is a maturity that we're going to have to develop very quickly that I think we can all appreciate has been absent in the local government arena. But I think, if anything, it's the gravity of those particular failures that hangs around us as we go into this convention, and it is a stark reminder that this process must succeed. Because while that has not gone well in many instances, certainly we do believe we can build confidence in the national and provincial coalition project. No one wants to import political instability like that into the national running of this country. But at the same time, I think we can have an agreement before an election, the first of its kind, not in the 2 weeks between an election and a government being established, but long in advance, that lays out how an agreement would come into place, how political parties can work together, and how we can even show South Africans through the election campaigns that we can collaborate in their interests.
At a functional level, do you think that you have quite the numbers to unseat the ANC, particularly with what we've seen with some parties such as the UDM not being quite keen to join the multi-party national convention group?
Certainly. I think it's going to be a long haul, as it is. I think our big message that we will be delivering in this room over the next 2 days is that we need more political parties. We need a broad church that can achieve a majority. I don't think we are quite there yet. I think we are closer than people realize. But the most important number that South Africans need to bear in mind when they consider the success of this project is 27 million. There are 27 million South Africans that have given up on voting, either because they aren't registered or they're not voting. Now, if this group of parties can inspire and motivate even a fraction of those people to turn out, it's a game changer from an election point of view, and that's what we will be working to do.
You've conducted a survey, around 21,000 South Africans saying they support the national convention as well. They're in support of this. This is your constituency. But what's the danger here? And I go back to the question of the DA pronouncing or alluding to the fact that they've been flirting with the ANC and could potentially work together. Is this not really dangerous for your constituency? We've seen this happening. This is politics. One thing can be said here, and then the other after these talks are done. How will you be making sure that you keep a close eye to the DA, that they do not turn their back on you after the national general elections when everything has been concluded?
Well, I think from our point of view, firstly, that survey was done with all South Africans, not merely our constituency or members, because we wanted the views of all South Africans in that regard. It was an open survey. And the results were overwhelming. 92% of people say they want this process to succeed, that they see this as an initial first step in the work of fixing South Africa. So very unequivocal in that regard. But I think beyond that, we just need to make sure that Action SA must be the best Action SA we can be. We can't control other political parties. If other political parties are going to say one thing and do another, we don't have any means to control that. What Action SA will do is say to the South African people, this is our offer, these are the solutions we lay on the table, and we will be unequivocal when it comes to the question of the ANC, because we fundamentally believe you cannot fix the problems in South Africa in partnership with those who have created those problems.
Michael Bowman, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you very much.
That's, of course, Action SA leader there, Michael Bowman's chatting to us this morning, Gareth, regarding today's proceedings that will be taking place here at the Emperor's Palace. Of course, the multi-party national convention taking place. Quite a lot that has to be discussed, particularly with Action SA being vocal and criticizing the DA to say they should be transparent and finally reaffirm themselves to say whether they will be part of this multi-party national convention or they will still follow the idea of trying to work with the ANC. But of course, the aim of this pre-negotiation agreement is to try and unseat the ANC the 2024 national general elections. And Action SA has been quite consistent in their stance to say they will not want to work with anything that has to do with having a relationship with the current ruling party, of course, being the ANC.
All right, so then Pule Letshwiti-Jones will leave you to go and find some more politicians to talk to. It's going to be a fascinating 2 days.